The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
And good afternoon, and welcome to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. Today, Gilbert has an appointment. Good afternoon, Bobby. How are you? He has an appointment. Is not coming in the studio. So today, you guys have me. I want to tell everyone happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Kwanzaa and Yom Kippur and all of those things. In the season of love and gift giving and everybody and family, I think that's what's the most important thing I think about Christmas is being able to connect with your family, to spend time, because we all have such busy, crazy lives, and sometimes we just don't get to spend that necessary time with our family and the way we should. And then it also gives us, those of us that are entrepreneurial, like myself, I have to, it's crazy, and I don't know how many of you feel the same way, but I actually have to have excuses to make myself enjoy some downtime. I'm always thinking I need to be working, and it's probably as a bad habit. You need to be refreshed and regroup and rejuvenated, and so the holidays are really that time for me. My clients are generally with their family, so they're not needing me. But, you know, the end of the year is about wrapping up everything that you've had going on for the current year that you're in, and then moving on and getting ready for the new year. But you do need to take the downtime to make that happen. So I hope you all have amazing holiday plans. I don't know how your Christmas shopping is going, but hope you got it done. Doesn't seem like a lot of people out there. I still have a couple of more gifts to get. My brother-in-law, actually, I have to get a gift for, and he's not easy. Everybody else, I think I've already gotten or have the idea, and I just need to take care of it between Sunday and Christmas Eve. So there you have it. So I hope you guys are having a good time, and you have some great plans to be with your family, and I know the children are going to have a great time. Everybody seems to be pretty happy with Christmas this year. I haven't heard anyone complain or anyone say, oh my God, this time is so stressful. So with that being said, we're going to kind of kick off the show as we did the last 2 weeks of perfect gifts for the entrepreneur. Now, for 2020, I'm looking at creating and changing my business a little bit, and one of those things that I'm going to do is, or not changing, is going to, I guess I'm really tweaking it, and I'm moving it up to another level, and that level is going to be taking a lot of my content in my courses and making them available in an e-course format, which means now not only am I going to be teaching and training in my local area, I'm also will have a national exposure and hopefully a global exposure. So I hope you guys got some plans like that. You really need to be thinking bigger, and it's just so hard to reach everyone, and it's so much easier to create that. So it's been a little interesting. It's a different mindset, different thought, I have to wrap my head around putting my courses in a format that is conducive for the masses pretty much. And so that's kind of interesting. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about 10 of the perfect gifts for entrepreneurs that they actually will use. And I'm going to say that just because I've been in this space for a long time. And a lot of times, even here, we don't buy the things that we need in order to help us be productive, because we're always thinking of the dollars and the bottom line, and we're always on budgets and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a loved one in your world, a friend, a a family member or husband or wife that are entrepreneurs, really when you think about getting their gifts, think about things that will help them continue their productivity, as well as alleviate and open up some of their time so they can spend it with you. So that should be your mindset. So gift number 1 is a productivity planner. And this planner will help. One, it's very difficult for those of us that are entrepreneurial to stay motivated sometimes. We're so overwhelmed with work. And if our marketing efforts are really working and our networking is working, then we are really quite busy. And hey, Donna. So a calendar or a planner helps us keep our schedules together, which we can do with our phones. I mean, that works. But I think sometimes it's good if you can just open up a book and see that you have some goals and some milestones that you've accomplished, or some goals that you want to accomplish. And sometimes it's good just to see that in print and not necessarily on your phone. So this productivity planner can help you do that. It's absolutely excellent. It's very well laid out, and you can actually craft your each and every day. You can put down your goals. You can do your affirmations. You can put down things that can keep you motivated. In addition to the scheduling for clients and networking and doing all the things you want to do, and as well as it will even allow you to allow your entrepreneur to even lay out, the monetary visions and goals that they have as well. So that's gift number 1, a productivity planner. So look into that. Next is content. So let me tell you about content. The whole reason that I'm going and moving my business online is because right now the biggest motivator or the biggest focus for all entrepreneurs, anyone in business, whether you're a corporation or you're solopreneur, is content. Content, there's a saying called content is king, and that is how you trend on your social media platforms. But you need to have great content, content that resonates with your clients, content that resonate with potential clients. And so there's some books out there, and this is one of them. It's called the Content Inc. How entrepreneurs use content to build massive audiences and create radical, successful businesses. The author's name is Joe Palazzi. He's the founder and CEO of Content Marketing Institute. So check out that book. I'm going to put the books in the description of the show, and you can go there as well. I should have that up this evening. The next thing is, what does your business cards look like? That's part of that whole branding package. But the one thing that I know with business cards is that when we go out, we collect massive cards everywhere you go. They get stuck in your purse. If you're a female, they're in your purse. Or you have a little card holder, or you come back, you have a rubber band around them. Hey, Margot, you have a rubber band around them. When you come back home, they get thrown into a box, right? So there's some cards out there called MOO business cards, and they are very unique. They're very thick card stock. They're very memorable. My business card has money on it, and it's a puzzle piece, and it has $1. It's a puzzle piece made out of a currency. And no matter who I give that card to, years and years later, they always go, when I hand them my card, it's like, oh, I have this card. So they remember my cards. So you might want to place an order or talk to your entrepreneur and order them some cards. They are very high class, not your traditional business card, not boring at all, but just the thickness of the paper, the cardstock they use is something that will, just the texture of it will make a person they will remember the card. So, and then if they remember the card, then they're going to remember you, because it's all about competition. And it's all about making sure that when you meet someone, they remember you, not just then, but continue to remember you. And because those could be potential customers for you, and or potential word of mouth referral for you, which is even more important than them, because if they're your ambassadors, then they're going to tell multiple people and not just themselves. Okay. Next gift number 5 is called the copyright course. Right now, everybody should be looking at taking courses. This is the online format. It might take an hour out of your time or 2 hours out of your time, but you will learn so much. And you also have to always be increasing your skill sets and making sure you have all the tools to do that. So what Copyright Course does for you, it uses templates and techniques, and you will learn and then over 250 million emails, millions of dollars in sales, and 20 industries. They will teach you bite-sized lessons so that the business entrepreneur can learn to write better content, right? So when I checked it out, I actually am going to order this for myself. I don't know about you guys, but it gives you, you will learn how to write scripts and templates, how to train any employee to be a great copywriter, how to take the concepts learned and implement them, how to sell yourself without sounding spammy, how to become a copywriter if that's something you want to do. So there you go, a new skill set, new business, new career, how to think about copy like an expert, and how to automate your emails, and how to write copy that sells. So that's an excellent course. You can go on, and it's copywriting course, and both of those are with K's. So that's KOPY writing course, KOURSE. So check that out. That might be a good gift if you got a hard to buy entrepreneur. Gift number 6 is a waterproof notepad. So, I was talking to my trainer this morning, and she says she does some of her best thinking in the shower. And because you go to sleep, you're quiet, you might have some white noise going on, so your brain is formulating, and if you have some plans to grow your business or just change your life just change your life, right? A lot of times when we silence our minds when we're sleeping, then when you wake up, you have all of these thoughts running through your head. So the first thing you do, you get up, you brush your teeth, and then you go jump in the shower, right? So now this pad can be right there with a waterproof pad with and a pen or pencil that will write on it. And now you can jot down those ideas. And then after you get out of the shower, then you can take, later in the day, you can also, you can start seeing how you actually can execute or put some of those new ideas into play. So it is called the Waterproof Notepad. You can Google it and find it. It's called My Aqua Notes, actually. So you should be able to find that. And let's see what else I got. Another course, Zero to Launch. So if you're looking to launch a business and you may not have time to do workshops or classes, but you're looking for something that you can do in the convenience of your own home on the weekends. There are some courses out there, and this particular one is called Zero to Launch, but there's a number of them on Teachable e-course platform, Thinkific. There's a number of them out there. So again, great course. And here's a book, the Startup Playbook. So all of these are things that I think personally, when I first started my entrepreneur career, if someone had given me any of these types of gifts, I've been so grateful, even today, actually. So if somebody want to give me the copyright course, that would be cool. Because those are things that can help me grow my business, and we all should be in a learning mode. I don't care how long you've been in business. You need to know how to do business the way business is done in today's time, because things have changed. The digital world is huge, and you really have to embrace it. So that is the segment on unique gifts for the entrepreneur in your life. There's tons of books. You can go on YouTube. On Amazon, and find some awesome books as well. And they would be most appreciative. So we're going to take a quick break. You are tuned into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and I'm Crystal. Gilbert is not in today, but we'll be back shortly, and then we're going to talk about today's subject today, and we are talking about the new laws that are going to start to become activated January 1, 2020. Some of them affect you as a business owner. Some of them affect your personal life, so you really want to come back and tune in. Talk to you in a minute.
Small businesses spend more than $500 million each year combined trying to find missing or replace missing paperwork. Hey, small businesses, are you tired of losing out on business opportunities because your paperwork is not in order? And don't you hate having to register in multiple websites just to find a single procurement opportunity that may not even be worth your time? Well, worry no more. Small Biz Pro is the solution to your problems. Small Biz Pro is an all-in-one cloud-based business management, compliance, and procurement assistance software platform that keeps small businesses organized, contract-ready, bank loan-ready, with quick access to procurement opportunities, as well as market research data. Here are some of the features and benefits that you receive when you use Small Biz Pro to run your business daily. Superior record keeping at your fingertips, back office management and compliance, quick access to bids and procurement opportunities in government databases. It allows you to conduct easy market research and gather industry statistics, government certification preparedness and compliance checklists, easy HR and general operations management functionality, bank loan readiness preparation and cash flow management, certified payroll and labor compliance reporting, business dictionary with defined business terms, a cloud-based business management platform that keeps small businesses organized and ready, even nonprofits, business documents securely stored in the cloud, data fully encrypted and protected by triple firewall reinforcements, on-the-spot document retrieval for quick decision-making, bank-level data security for compliance, document expiration alerts and advanced notifications. It uses security restrictions to block out unauthorized users, and much more. Try it out today for only $5 for the first 30 days. What are you waiting for? Go to www.smallbizpro.net and register now, or your competitors will. Small Biz Pro, keeping small businesses organized, business ready, and contract ready.
And we are back on the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. I am Crystal. And so this is what we're going to talk about. You know, every year, January 1st brings a whole magnitude of new laws that the state of California has that go into legislation. We actually probably voted for or against it and it was passed or not, or other legislation bills were put on the table. And so as of January 1, these lovely bills and laws become live. And this year, there's some doozies, guys. I have to tell you, there's some that will highly affect the way you do business. You need to know that, especially as employers and employees and contractors. Some are good, some are great for the employee. Some are bad for the contractor and business owner. So let's get down to business. We're going to cover the very first one, which goes into effect. It is Assembly Bill 51. And what that is a ban on arbitration. It will preclude employers from requiring job applicants, current employees, or independent contractors from agreeing to waive any rights, form, or procedures on the Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEHA, and the Labor Code as a condition of employment, continued employment, or the receipt of any employment-related benefits. The law will apply to any contracts that are entered in and modified or executed on or after January 1st, 2020, and does not apply to any post-dispute settlement agreements or negotiated severance agreements. The violations carry the risk of injunctive relief and attorney fees, while challenges to the AB 51 based on the federal law are anticipated. The law is nevertheless now on the books. So that's, hey Felice, hey Leslie, how are you guys? Thanks for tuning in. So that really applies more to your employers and your employees and people looking for jobs. They put a ban on arbitration, and that is Assembly Bill 51. So check that out. You want to dwell into these even deeper, just so you'll understand if they apply to your business or not. And if they don't, then no problem. But share them, because there are others that it could affect. The next one is extending the FEHA, which is the Fair Employment and Housing Act, statute of limitations. Current law requires employees to file an administrative charge with the Department of Fair Employment and Housing within 1 year from the date which an unlawful employment practice under the FEH occurred. So Assembly Bill 9 extends this deadline from 1 to 3 years, but retains the 1 year statute of limitation for under acts related claims. Now this one relates to us as Black people. It seems that people don't like the way we wear our natural hair, and that has been really trending in the last couple of years. But there was a legislation, it's a Senate bill actually, on protecting hairstyles. So Senate Bill 188 amends the definition of race under the FEHA to include traits historically associated with race, including but not limited to hair texture and protective hairstyles. Protective hairstyles are defined as including such hairstyles as braids, locks, and twists. So they can no longer force you, ask you, require you to wear your hair straight. They can't refer to your hair at all. Okay? So know that you and how you choose to wear your hair is your business, and know that there are laws in place. And so if you find yourself in that position, then go to the Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEHA, and proceed forward to make sure that no one is harassing you about that. The next one is delay and clarification for sex harassment training. In 2018, Senate Bill 1343 extended sexual harassment training to employers with fewer than 50 employees, and required employers to train both supervisors and non-supervisor employees on or before January 20th. So now there's a Senate Bill 778 extends the deadline to January 2021 and provides clarification to the non-supervisory training. So that's important with the Me Too movement and a lot of things that are going on. So you want to check that out if that applies to you. But if you have fewer than 50 employees and your company, and you're required to get your training, both for your supervisors and your non-supervisors, that time has been extended. So you won't be fined for that to January 1st, 2021. But it's probably best practices to have it in place to protect your employees and make sure that they feel that while they're working for you, if it's a healthy and safe place for them. Next is Assembly Bill 749. This is the no hire provision. It prohibits any settlement agreements relating to an employment dispute from preventing or restricting the employee from obtaining future employment with the employer against whom the claim was filed. This applies to any agreements entered on or after January 1, 2020. So again, a lot of companies, when you're a whistleblower or whatever you're doing, some of them there was a provision that allowed them not to rehire you, but now that is prohibited by Assembly Bill 749. Now, this one is probably, out of all of the bills, there's a couple of them I think that's really, really important, but this one is super, super important. And I'm going to read it to you. You really need to pay attention to this one, because this applies to anyone that currently considers themselves a 1099 contractor, employee, a non-employee. You're not an employee, you're a contractor. The AB Assembly Bill 5 now changes the definition of, and changes the test. It's now an ABC test on who is considered a contractor and who is considered or classified as an employee. It kind of all stemmed from the trucking industry, whether or not truckers were actually employees of the companies that they were delivering from. There was a major lawsuit. There was wagers ordered, and all this took place in 2018. And as a result of that, they kind of did a wide brush sweep, and anybody that's considered a 1099 contractor got caught up in it, which highly affects the gig industry. So what it does is it says that, and I'm going to read what the exemptions are, what the law is. It basically says that you must pass the Bolero test, and that Bolero test tells you that if your employees are working for you, and in fact, let me get a clear AB5, a clear explanation of it, because it's really, really important. So it basically says there's 3 tests. Here you go. There's 3 tests to it. So if you are working and you're a contractor, and that contractor is dictates how you should come to work, what time you should come there, the number of time, the amount of time and the minutes that you should perform this particular duty for them, then you really truly are an employee, and they should reclassify you as an employee. Hey, Cheryl, and hey, Mark, they should classify you as an employee, which then means employee taxes, benefits, and things like that, which is fine. And the whole purpose of this was to make sure, hi Mark, make sure that employees are taken care of and not abused by their employers. So I get that. That's cool. But this law has become a one size fit all. So now that means everybody is caught up in this. So the principal people that are really going to be affected by this, thank you, Mark. The principal people are going to be affected by this are those that are in the gig industry. So you all know, and some of you probably are Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, right? You're doing that to supplement your current job. Some of you, this is your job, but it has given you a way to create other streams of income coming into your household to maintain your family, right? So now this law could really truly affect that, because now they're saying that based upon the structure, hi Cheryl, based upon the structuring of the law, you are potentially an employee of the company that you work for. So here's the criteria. The worker is free from control and the direction of the hirer in connection with the performance of the work, both under the contract or for the performance of such work, right? So I'm sure there's some application, some form that you signed as a gig contractor, or a truck driver, or whoever else works as a 1099 employee, that that you sign, and this is the task they want you to execute, and in return They will pay you. You will, hopefully you're submitting an invoice, and then you will get paid, and there you are. But if it's not a contract in place, if it's kind of like an employment where you filled out an application, they give you the right route, they time you, they tell you, they're in complete control of how you execute that task. Now there's gray area, and potentially you are to be reclassed as an employee. So that's one. That's the first one. That's the A part of the ABC test. The second one is the worker performs work that is performed outside of the usual scope of a hiring entity's business. So take me, for example. I'm an accountant, bookkeeper. I do books for, hey, Deacon Thomas, I do books for entities, businesses, small business owners, individuals, nonprofits, but they're not in my business, right? So when I contract with them, they complete a, we both sign a contract that says I'm going to provide this scope of work during this scope period of time. We both can pull out of the contract and cancel the contract at any given point in time. Not a problem. You go their way. They don't direct me because this is my skill set. And so therefore I'm a true contractor. But however, it could get a little gray if I was doing that for an accounting firm or CPA firm, because now we're in the same business, right? So if that's one of my regular contracts and I go there every day to execute this particular scope of work, now we're in some gray area for me. So now I could potentially be seen and reclassified as their employer, right? Or employee. Third one is the worker is customarily engaged in independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as the work performed for the hiring entity. So again, that if it's independent of whoever you're doing the work for, but you may have multiple clients that you do that for, then but if you don't, and this is the only person you're working for, again, this could be a classification, the Bolero test that you may not pass, and then you'll have to look at hiring those individuals. So my take on it is this: if the gig industry is helping the economy and it's helping people pay their rent and buy food and put away a savings, then you come and you tell an employer, then you have to hire this person. Now the burden becomes a financial burden for the employer, because there's no way they can hire, let's say there's 250,000 Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. There's no way those companies, either one of those companies, can hire 250,000 employees and pay their payroll taxes and all their benefits and all the things. They will literally go out of business. And the other downside to that is, hi, Courtney. The other downside to that is they will literally move those businesses out of state of California. And if that is to happen, now California is going to have a major problem. And on top of that, if the individual that's doing the contracting, if now they're reduced just down to whatever their hourly wage is, which is not enough so you to pay your rent, buy food, have car insurance or transportation. God forbid there's an emergency, then that puts a problem. And if it's definitely supplementing your base pay, where now you can't pay your rent, now you find yourself on the street. And we, at this present point, have 60,000 people on the street. I think this is going to contribute to it. Now, that's the bad news, right? So there is some good news. And the good news is that not everybody falls under this. So there are some exemptions, and those exemptions would be what we call, that can pass the Bolero test, is the white collar businesses, right? So those that are exempt are physicians and surgeons and dentists and anyone in the medical field, insurance brokers, lawyers, architects, and engineers, private investigators, accountants, bookkeepers. Bookkeepers, if they're independent and have their own business like I do, and your company is actually an established company, you have other clients besides one client, then you kind of fit into this area as well. Your registered security broker dealers, investment advisors, and direct salespeople. Then those that provide professional services, and that again is like me. The 6 factors that exempt you from the AB5 is that you maintain a separate location from the hiring firm. This may be your residence. That's fine. You have a business license in addition to any required professional licenses, permits to do your job or do your craft, to be able to set or negotiate your own rates for the services provided, to be able to set your own hours, and you engage in the same type of work under contract with another hiring firm or hold themselves out to other potential customers as available to perform the same type of work, which means that no one can exclusively reserve your time just for them. You have to have a client list and you have to be performing these services to multiple individuals. Okay. So that's how you are exempt from the AB5. And so those individuals are marketing professionals. So a lot of marketing companies use outside contractual work in order to maintain and to be able to grow their business. Travel agents, human resource administrators, graphic designers, grant writers, fine artists, enrolled agents, photographers, freelance writers, editors, newspaper cartoonists, barbers, anyone in the beauty industry, provided they have their license and they are governed by their own associations. So that would be manicurists, cosmetologists, estheticians. All of them are qualified as a independent contractor under the exception if they meet the above requirements. And also they set their own rates. They process their own payments and are paid directly by the client. So meaning that the client is not going through, if you're a hairdresser, hairstylist, then you really have to establish that separation. So the owner of the building or whoever owns the beauty salon the payments can't go to the main desk and then they just distribute it out to you. Now we got some gray area. Now we're actually talking employer-employees. So we want to make sure that we're setting our businesses up properly, right? You set your own hours, have sole discretion on the number of clients you're going to serve. You book your own, you schedule your own appointments, and you maintain a business license for the services that you offer. And you are issued a 1099 to the salon or business owner from which you are renting space for. That is really, really important. You have to be your own established business in order to avoid being classified or reclassified as an employee. So that's important, guys. And then business to business contractors, for those, as you know, Gilbert's always talking to us about minority certification. You want to make sure that there's written contracts in place. And usually with a minority certified environment, you have to go through some qualifications in order to even get those contracts. But you want to make sure that everything is in place and that if you're a subcontractor, that's in writing. So very important, guys. Okay, so that is the AB5, and I think that one applies to everybody, and you really need to think about that and make sure that everything is in place. The penalties could be pretty high, so you don't want to take a chance. You don't want to guess whether you are. You want to check with your associations. If there's a professional business, there should be an association that you can check and find out whether or not how you fall into that. Okay. This one we voted for several years ago, and it's been on a staggeration. It's been every year there's an increase. So that's the minimum wage increase. So as of January 1, this is Senate Bill 3. As of January 1, 2020, the minimum wage for employers with 26 or more employees will increase to $13 an hour. And minimum wage for employers with 25 or less employers will increase to $12 an hour, with the salaries for exceptions if they're making over $49,000 a year. So that is important for those of you to know. It's important for you as an employee to know also what your rights are. So this one, again, is a bill that was written with the employee in mind, making sure that they're well taken care of. So we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the balance of the bills. Back to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. I am Crystal, and so we're talking about, for those who are just tuning in, I'm talking about the new laws that will go into effect January 1, 2020. It's better to know than not know, because the penalties could really cost you. So it's always better, even if you don't want to hear them, it's always better to know that they exist, right? So the next one up, before I went to break, we were talking about the minimum wage increase. So for those of you that are employees, usually nowadays people are paying, because to get good employees, you really do need to be paying a little above minimum wage so that they'll be committed to your business. But just know that there are laws, and that if you have 26 or more employees, you need to be increasing their pay rate, hourly wage, from $13 to up to $13. Now, again, and this is for our small business owners as well. So this is a Senate Bill 142. It's the lactation, which is breastfeeding, accommodations for mothers. So it requires employers to provide a reasonable amount of break time each time that an employee needs to express milk. It requires employers to provide a location, not just more reasonable efforts, but actually a location, and enumerates many physical requirements for the location. So you really want to investigate that if you have a young staff and they're having babies, and they have to take, it's normal, right? It's part of it. So you really want a company culture that embraces and empowers and loves your employees, because they are helping you make money, basically, bottom line. So if you treat them right, they'll treat you right. So that's Assembly Bill 142. Now, this one is important, and I didn't even know about this one until a couple of days ago. I had a consult with Facebook on how to better position my ads when I'm boosting on Facebook. And one of the questions I was asked was, did I have a privacy policy? And I'm thinking, where'd that come from? So now I know where it came from. There is a California Consumer Privacy Act 2018 CCP that will take effect on January 1, and it's Assembly Bill 25, and it largely excludes from coverage that personal information of job applicants, employees, independent contractors. However, it requires that these individuals receive notice at or before the point of collection of the categories of personal information collected about them and the purpose for what is used. They are also entitled to data security standards relating to their data and will have standing to bring a private right of action under the law. So you want to make sure that, one, you're not selling your employees' information, and two, depending on how you use it. And so larger companies, sometimes you use that for loans and so forth, and you're asked those questions when nonprofits are always asked those questions when you're filling out grant proposals and loans as well. So you just want to make sure that you have a privacy data policy in place. So you might want to talk to your attorney. You might want to do some research on what that looks like, which is important because individuals and people have had their private information breached. And so now there's a law in place to protect the consumer and the employee and the employer. So make sure you look at creating, if you don't have one, a privacy policy. It should be at the bottom where it has the copyrights for your website. So you want to talk to your webmasters to make sure that there's a indication that you have a privacy policy. And then if someone asks you, you should actually have a physical policy. So you can do your research. I'll give you some links in the bottom of the description of the show today where you can start this process. Now, so we got a few more minutes left. That is pretty much the new laws that are taking place that will affect businesses, but as well as, and you all know this, come January 1st, there's always some new wonderful laws that the DMV puts into place for you. And so you need to know those as well, because that one will save your life, right? Because you don't want to get stopped and you're not taking advantage of the new laws. So the new laws, California driving laws for 2020. Let's see. Let me make sure we're in 2020. So I'm not giving you laws that are already taking place. But there are always new California law. There's always laws in California. We are one law place, man. New California laws for 2020. All righty. Let's see, workplace, housing. There's a new law coming up. This is personal. The AB 1482 on rent control. So that's important for folks to know. That's a big issue. There's a law on communities without their own rent control laws will now be covered by statewide rent control protections. The law limits rent increases to 5% each year plus inflation, but never above the percent total. So if anyone is, this law does not apply to housings built in 15 years prior. So this is basically for all new 15 years to now. And there's more information, so you want to research that. As a tenant, you definitely want to know what your rights are, especially if you're in a position or you're in a place where they're trying to evict you from your apartment. So definitely know your laws yourself. Don't expect somebody to know the law and then they're going to protect you. That's not how that works. You need to be able to protect yourself. AB 652, religious displays. You have more protections to display religious items like menorahs, crosses outside of your home. The law prohibits landlords and homeowner associations from banning the display of religious items. So that's a law that's going to take place. Housing discrimination that will protect veterans and military against housing discrimination. That's SB 222. And I know it's a lot, but you really want to You really want to look into this stuff. Privacy, again, this is AB 375, online privacy. So you want to know where Facebooks and Google and all those people are, what are they doing with your data that they're collecting, and your phone, everything. We're in a world where data is mined every day, and that's your privacy information. So you really want to look into that. Let's see. I don't see anything else. Wildfires, animals, criminal justice. The law changes the age that a minor can be sent to juvenile hall. Minors under 12 who commit nonviolent crimes will be released to his or her parent or a legal guardian instead of being sent to juvenile hall. So that's that is SB 439. And then there's healthcare for undocumented immigrants. That's SB 104. Transgender youth. That's AB 2119. This is important for our parents out there. SB 419, school suspensions. Students in elementary school cannot be easily suspended for causing trouble at school. The law bans schools from suspending students in grades 4 to 8 for disrupting school activities or denying teachers and administrators. Students in grades 5 K through 3 already have this protection. So now it's extended to 4 through 8. So know your laws, people. It's so important. Okay, now I'm trying to get to the DMV because, you'll drive out of your house on New Year's Day, and there could be a law that could be taking place right on your corner. Hey, Butch, how are ya? Oh, okay. So we all know this one was coming up, right? And it's all been on the news, where the new California driver's license is going to be required by 2020. So it's called the Real ID. It was passed in Congress in 2005. So if you haven't received your Real ID, you really need to go in. It needs to be in place by October 20th. By October 2020. If you have a passport or a passport card, then that also would be sufficient. But you do have to have, in order to do domestic travel from state to state, you now have to have a driver's license that has the Real ID, meaning that they've checked your birth certificate and other means of identifying you. So I know the lines are long, crazy, but make an appointment and make sure that's in place. You don't want that to be a problem when you go to January 1st, or in this case is in October. Then the regular laws, I guess, is in place. The your seat belts, regular stuff. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of new laws I don't see them anyway. DMV, the only one other than that driver's license law. So that's all pretty much what we need to look at. So, guys, do your research to make sure that you know what's going on, especially businesses. I've had quite a few clients that, got caught up in things. First of all, you never want the EDD, which is the Employment Development Department, to ever have to reach out to you for anything, because they will make your life a living hell. Trust me on that. So the more you know about what the state of California requires for you to do business here, the better it is for you. You just really truly don't want that. It's not a nice thing. It's not a pretty thing, because they will harass you, and they attach penalties and interest, and next thing you know, there's tons of extra money that you have to pay out that you don't have in the first place. So don't get caught up into that. Best to know what your laws are. Okay. I'm going to put this in the body of the show today. I'll make sure if you want to know more information, you can reach out to me, but you can simply Google it, guys, because it's all there for you. Again, look at and talk to your CPA, talk to your attorney on the classification of your employees. There are some churches that probably need to really look into this from a nonprofit standpoint, because even though you're a nonprofit, you are not exempt from the Fair Employment Act laws. So a lot of you have contractors in place, and you really need to look at that. And if you have musicians that only work for you, now you might want to revisit that and make sure that they are actually contractors and they're not real. They're employers. Okay, it's not just your administrative staff. It's a lot of you have contractors in place. So nonprofits, not just churches, nonprofits in general, because sometimes you guys operate under the radar. But we want to make sure that you're not encouraging unnecessary expenses where you don't have to. And if it's just a simple matter of you adhering to the law, you might have to make some adjustments. I know it. I get it. I understand. I do bookkeeping for businesses all the time. And when it comes to payroll, that is one of your largest expenses, and it's one that is mandatory. That has to be paid out every 10 days or 10 and a half, twice a month. And so it could be a little costly, but again, don't want to get caught up in it because the penalties and the interest will wipe you out. Okay. So that is pretty much it for the day. I don't know if there's next week. We still got another week. So anybody doing anything fun and exciting, text us and let us know what you're doing, or check us out and put it in the comments. Next year, myself and Gilbert, we have some amazing courses and classes coming up. We want everybody to grow their businesses. I think Gilbert last week mentioned that he wants to help 50 businesses become certified. So if you're really interested in that, reach out to the Business Zone. Contact us at thebusinesszone.com and let us know that you want to be one of Gilbert's chosen 50 businesses to help you become a certified business owner. And then if you're interested in starting businesses, I have some workshops and classes coming up in January. I have a class on January 6th, 12th, and the 27th, and it's all geared for helping startup businesses and as well as existing businesses really, really fine-tune your business so you can become bankable if you need capital. But we have to put the effort in to really, we need our businesses to be working at their optimum. And so that means there's some work that have to go into that to make that happen. So we are at the top of the hour. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. And we will have next week is Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas. And then we will see you next Friday. Have a fantastic week.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.